Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityo ma amritam kamaya abhir ma eti rudrayate dakshinamukam te namam pahi nityam. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Light us through and through, and guide us evermore with thy loving presence. Peace, peace, peace be unto all beings. We're very happy to have with us this morning and for the week following Swami Shantarupananda, who is the Swami in charge of our center in Portland, Oregon. Swami Shantarupananda has been here many times, most recently in February of 2000, so many of you are familiar with him. But some of you have not had the opportunity to meet him before, so I'll mention a couple of things. He was posted from India to Portland as an assistant to the late Swami Seshanandaji, who passed away in 1996. Swami Shantarupananda came to Portland in 1991 and served that old Swami. He died at the age of 97, very wonderfully during those last years of his life. Swami Seshananda was especially beloved in our order as he was the last monastic disciple of Sri Sarada Devi, the Holy Mother, the last surviving monastic disciple of the Holy Mother in our order. And so it was very special for him to be posted there, and a very wonderful relationship that they had between them. Swami Shantarupananda will speak this morning on the message of the Upanishads. Swami.
Om Yang Brahma Bhunendra Rudra Maruta Stanbandhi Dibboi Stavoi Vedoi Sanghapada Kramopanishadoi Gayanti Yang Samagaha Dhanavastita Tatkatina Manasa Pushyanti Yang Yogino Jasyantamna Vidushura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Our salutations to him, who is the truth of life and existence, and whom the sages call by various names. Our salutations to him, whose glory sung in sacred hymns of the various scriptures of the world, but whose limitless and infinite grandeur no mortal mind can comprehend. Our salutations to him, whom the devotees meditate in the shrine of their hearts and realize his ineffable presence in their deepest contemplation. May he illumine our understanding and prompt our minds to the path of truth and righteousness. May he reveal himself unto our souls and dispel the gloom of illusion, fear, death, and darkness. Om, peace, peace, peace. Peace be unto us, peace be unto all mankind. Before I begin the lecture of today, the message of the Upanishads, I must gratefully extend my thanks to Swami Chaitanyanandaji to extend his invitation to come over here again and to share with you some of my thoughts about different subjects. Today's subject is this, as it was mentioned before, the message of the Upanishads. And also I gratefully remember, though I didn't have any chance to see personally Swami Satprakashanandaji, but I had the chance to read his books, scholarly books. and a very penetrating spiritual insight he had, Swami Satprakashanandaji. Now, to begin with the subject, the message of the Upanishads, as you know, because this center has been disseminating the profound, deep spiritual messages of Vedanta, in particular of the Upanishads, that it is a vast subject. I will try to concentrate on one of the Upanishads, which is very dear to me, Chandogya Upanishad. All these Upanishads depict to us the profound message, the philosophical insight of the great sages of India. Now, every religion has three things: the philosophy, then mythology, and the ritual. The philosophy part is much more abstruse, abstract. If I go on dwelling on philosophical truths, most of us will fall asleep. So like one time, one man asked his friend, what kind of lecture do you think is the best? He says, to me, that lecture is the best, which will go over my head and hit my neighbor. Not to me. So that is the mostly philosophical part of it, that the most abstruse ideas. But those philosophical the ideas or abstruse thoughts are made concrete to us through mythology. All the religions have this: Greek mythology, Indian mythology, Judaism, and all other major religions on earth have their own mythology. Myths are very appealing to us. Why? Because those abstruse philosophical thoughts and ideas and theories are made very concrete to us through, as you call, anthropomorphic idea of the theology, that what we have here, same thing have there in heaven, but in different order. So that appeals to us. Oh, really? That happened? Yeah. So that is very close to us. Then comes the ritual. The ritual is more concrete to us of those abstract ideas, because in ritual we use many things like Ganges water, as we do, incense, light, and some religions will follow their own traditions, Jordan River water, or some water of the well, sacred water, and all these things, flowers, appeal to our senses. But the same philosophy is in the back. So today I will go on speaking on this subject, the Chandogya Upanishad. I'm sure you all know that etymologically the word Upanishad means that to attain the knowledge of the highest by sitting near one illumined soul. Upanishad. Upo, that means near, in proximity, closeness. Ni, down, sat, sit. That is our tradition. That is basically the differentiation between Eastern mysticism and the Western mysticism. The Western mysticism wants you to accept the doctrines. That's it. But Indian mysticism, other words, the Oriental mysticism, or ancient, the Indian tradition is this, that you need to approach one illumined soul, as we call the concept of Guru. Now, because of the computer and all this technology, this word is common to all. When I drive in Portland, many times I see on the cars ahead of me the sticker Guru. So these words are very common, known now. The concept of Guru is this, that the power which removes the darkness. That is the basic philosophy of all the Upanishads, that our real nature is divine. Divinity is our real nature. But because of the clouds of ignorance, egotism, hatred, malice, jealousy, the illumined nature of us is hidden. And there comes the concept of Maya. Because of that ignorance, it is veiled. And the effort will be to remove that. That is the basic concept. And our tradition always says, you need to approach one illumined soul. Why should I go? If my real nature is divine, if my real nature is infinite, then why should I go to someone to unfold that one? It is me who has to unfold that. Then why should I go to anyone? Though it is true that we all are destined to reach the goal, which is our real nature, the infinite absolute, at the end, but that does not exclude the help from outside. Rather, for the vast majority of cases, it is a must, it is a mandatory to help. There will be some guiding principle. Suppose when I go to a cave temple, if someone is there to help me with flashlight, that will expedite my journey unheard, and I will be successful in my journey. Suppose you are a student of physics, go to any bookstore, here is a big university, and you will find number of hundreds and millions of books on the computer also. You will be confused. So someone should be there to guide you. Come. So this is the preliminary, and then go forward. Then for advanced students, then these go on like that. The guiding principle. So that concept comes to us through these books known as the Upanishads, that you need to approach one life which is leading the life, pure life. Why should I go there? Because religion is not in the brain. Religion is in the heart. See, you can go and read all the books on earth. Your brain will be benefited, but not the heart. The light of religion comes to the heart, not to the brain. Blessed are those who are pure in heart, not pure in brain, for they shall see God. You see? So there lies God. There lies love. God is in love. God is love. So that's why that concept is very much present in our tradition. So today's will be this Chandogya Upanishad. Why it appeals to me? Because those abstruse ideas, high, lofty philosophical, spiritual insights are given to us through very charming dialogues between the teacher and the student. So that makes it more tangible and appealing to us. There are basically, you will find the 5 charming, beautiful, remarkable dialogues you will find in this book called Chandogya Upanishad among the students and the teachers. Through those dialogues, conversation, the profound message of the Upanishad is conveyed to us. The first one I will like to take up is called the Satyakama. Satyakama is the name of the student. He is going to a teacher to be imparted with the knowledge of the Absolute. Now, in those days, that means in the Vedic time, it was a mandatory, as it were, to acquire the knowledge, you must be born of a Brahmin family. When I go to different schools, colleges and university, at the end of the lecture, there will be question answer session, and I know for sure, invariably they will ask the question, how about in India you have got caste distinction? I know for sure they will ask that question. Then I say, well, in India they have got caste distinction, in Europe they have got class distinction, and in America you have got caste distinction. So in somewhere or other, there will be some kind of distinction. You cannot equate all with everybody. Now, this division was made on a very rational, scientific, and a positivistic approach. It was dependent on your karma. That word also is again common to the Western mind. Karma. Many times they say, well, this is my karma, what to do, Swami? Karma. So it depends on the karma action you perform, the duties you do, and the guna, your qualities. Later on, I'm sorry to say that throughout the history of all the religions, you will find priests make a mess. And then prophets come to clean that mess. Throughout the history, you see, all the religions. Why? Because they want to make control over the society, that you cannot go to heaven directly. Why not? Because we will validate your ticket. Otherwise, nobody will accept there. And you cannot explain the Holy Scripture as you want to. Why not? We will make explanation for you. See, a few weeks ago, I went to give a lecture to one first Unitarian church in Portland. There I explained the symbol, the logo, the flaming chalice. At the end of my lecture, their minister told that you heard from a Swami about the history of that flaming chalice. You never heard from me so far. You see, that goes back to 1419. So there was one religious leader, Van Haas. He actually, in one way, revolted against the existing law and principle and the custom prevalent in that Christian community. That as you call the chalice, it comes to us as communion, that you are like Brahmin. That today you had got communion means you are Brahmin, you are so pure. And your brother, he did not get the chance of communion, he is going to hell. So like that, some kind of distinction. What he did, Van Haas, he gave that, the consecrated, as you call, the offered wine to everybody. It was meant for the priests. He gave to everybody. And that irritated the existing leaders of the church. Not only that, he translated the Bible into common languages. That was added fuel to the anger of those Christian leaders. And what did they do? They ordered him to be burnt at stake, and that was done. So he was burned at stake. That is Van Haas. And later on, his followers took up that the fire, the flame, that the person who was like martyrdom, the flame and the chalice. So they combined both, the flaming chalice. You see how that these, as you call the priests, they make so much strong that unless and until you accept that, you will be excommunicated. My very favorite philosopher is Spinoza. That great philosopher Spinoza. So his theory was God, the nature and the world are same, viewed from different points of view. That is just like Vedantic teaching. So I liked him. But what was his life? He was excommunicated. That he had to withdraw that philosophy. He said, no, I am a philosopher. How can I withdraw my philosophy? You see, and he lived up to that. He was excommunicated. He died, so far I remember, in mid-40s, early age. So that was the history, as I was telling, that the priests and the prophets come and they remove the non-essential part of religion, retaining the essential part of religion. In modern time, Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, Swami Vivekananda did the same thing. Now, here we will find that when you read this Upanishad, you will find that the Satyakama went to a teacher. Now, naturally, teacher will ask your identification, as you call ID, that what is your ID? Are you born of a Brahmin family? What is your name of your father? What is the name of your ancestry? All those things. And he knew that. The teacher will ask me the name of my father. So he didn't know. So he went to his mother. And mother told, I don't know the name of your father. I was a servant. I worked in many houses. But my name is Javalo. So you can call your name as Satyakama Javalo. Then you go to your teacher. Then what happened? He went to his teacher, Gautama. And then when he asked, what is your father's name and all this, as you call ID, so he told exactly what his mother narrated to him. Exactly. That pleased his teacher. That he did not deviate from truth, and he exactly reported what his mother told. And not only that, his face was shining with so much of the power to attract the light of religion. That is actually the way of the student, as you call a Shishya. Way of the student, the power which wants to attract the light of religion. And the Guru also is the power which responds to that attraction. It is just like a give and take policy. Now, the teacher could understand on the face of this great student. So immediately he said, yes, I will impart to you the profound teaching of the Upanishads. Now here we will find that great message conveyed to us, that the teachings of these Upanishads are universal. These are not at the exclusive possession of any particular group of people in any country. Otherwise, the teacher will not impart that knowledge to Satyakama, who did not know his ancestry. See, he could not claim that he was a Brahmin. He didn't know. But still he was given that. That shows that the message of the Upanishad is that it is within you. It doesn't matter where you are. See, Swami Vivekananda had the Nirvikalpa Samadhi even here in America, in the place. And he composed that song of the Sannyasin, just such a charming, profound idea of life of renunciation. And he didn't compose on the bank of the river, holy river Ganga. He composed there in Thousand Island Park. And that river was St. Lawrence River, see. And Thousand Island Park, not in the Himalaya. It's such a great, so anywhere. It doesn't matter where you are, where from you are. So it is universal. That message is conveyed through this, just the story. It may be not real story, it doesn't matter, that it conveys that idea, that spirit. Then we find that the teacher will ask him, see, here are 400 cattle, the cows, you take them and graze them in the forest. Now, in olden time, it was the tradition that the student will have to do some kind of service. It is a sort of symbolic expression that is sort of sacrificing my own ego. So unless and until I become humble, the knowledge will not be bestowed upon me. Suppose Einstein comes near me. Now if I say, well, Einstein, what you know, I also know. Then Einstein will say, well, okay, I will keep quiet. What will he say? But if I say, oh no, you are such a great scientist, will you please impart me, tell me what happened like that? Oh, he will disclose all his secrets unto me. So that comes here, that humility, humble. So he was taken. Of course, that is another, many times they ask me that do they really worship cow? They call holy cow. I said, well, they worship everything from the highest to the lowest. Not only cow, they worship the tree, they worship the sky, they worship the fire, they worship the water. Whole nature, even beyond nature, is animated to them with spirit. That's why they worship. Anyway, that is another issue. Now here, so he was taken and he took those, and then gradually we find that he was doing that austerity. That is very important in spiritual life, that you need to do some amount of austerity, but do not torture your body and do not pamper also. Remember the story of Lord Buddha. So Buddha tortured his body so much so that he could not even concentrate his mind on the within, the inner self. So he had to take that, as you call, Sujata's pies, that pudding. So he regained some strength. So do not torture the body, do not pamper the body. Some amount of austerity is needed. So here we find in the story that he had to take that kind of austerity. Now after a long time, then he found that the number went up to 1,000. Then you will find, it may seem funny to us, that later on we find that the bull talked to him. And then the bull gave him, not the Chicago bull, there was real one bull, gave him one kind of knowledge. Then the bull sent him to fire, then the swan, then one bird which could dive into the water. Now, first when we read these incidents, we find, hey, isn't that funny? That how can bull give me knowledge? No, it gives an insight that the whole nature is like a spiritual book, like a scripture. One after another page you turn on, and when you attain the knowledge, then you toss it. The whole nature gives me the knowledge. I think it was Brother Lawrence who saw during springtime, the leaves come up, again it goes down. Then that itself gave him a spiritual insight. So the whole nature, you see, that was actually the great insight of the transcendental movement of America, Thoreau and Emerson. I like them a lot. So one time, I think a couple of years ago, I visited that Walden Pond. That was in winter time. Could you believe that I could walk on the Walden Pond, of course any supernatural power, because it was all frozen, all ice. So I was walking on the Walden Pond, and I admired them. You see, that was the Thoreau. How he could make his own cabin there and live there for a couple of years. He made everything by himself. You see, this is how they could become close to nature. That is the transcendental movement, that not the empirical knowledge, but the intuitive knowledge. That is much more important. Intuitive knowledge from within, inside. The nature gives. So here you will find that the bull appeared and said that I will teach you 1 foot of Brahman. So behind that I gave that explanation that the nature, whole nature can give me the knowledge. Knowledge is present everywhere. It is like a book. The persons who can read the book, who have that power, then one after another page you read, then you don't need, then go beyond nature. That is called supersensuous. From there it comes. Then he says that, I will just read this, beautiful. The east is a part of the Lord, and so is the west. The south is a part of the Lord, and so is the north. The 4 cardinal points form a foot of Brahman. Fire will teach you another. So he went to fire, and fire also same thing. Now here the question is, why east first comes? Many times we instruct that when you meditate, you need to meditate facing the east. Somebody will ask, because here America, it is a land of why. So if you ask anything to your kid, the kid will immediately ask why. Why not that? Why? Always. You have to give some explanation. Now why east? Because the sun rises in the east. And the sun is the symbol of knowledge. It gives us the light. It is the light which removes darkness, which removes ignorance. So I am going to bring forth my spiritual light. So facing the east is more auspicious. Then it will remind you of your inner light, the light of religion. So that's why you find first the east. Many times teachers instruct that east. Then the fire also gave almost same thing. He says, I will teach you 1 foot of Brahman. This earth is a portion of Brahman. The skies and the heavens are the portions of him. The ocean is a portion of him. All these form a foot of Brahman. A swan will teach you another. So how gradually it is extending. Then he went to the swan, and then here you will find that before he was going to make a fire, before his evening prayer, there came this swan. Now that was the tradition. Even today, that tradition is some way or other present in India and in Indian families, that in the morning and in the evening they usually go to pray to God. When the night comes in and when the day comes in, they begin to pray to God Almighty. So here he wanted to make a prayer, and then he lighted the fire. Fire in our tradition is very sacred, because fire has the purifying effect. Anything, when you get from the mine something, some gold or something, we need to put it on fire. Then it will take out its dust and dirt. It will make it pure. So it burns, as we call our karmas, and it gives rise to pure heart. So fire is considered very holy. Now, then he came to Swan, and Swan says, I have come to teach you 1 foot of Brahman. This lighted fire before you is a part of Brahman. And likewise the moon, the lighting too is a part. All these form a foot of Brahman. Then he says a loon, that means a long short-tailed wave-footed fish-eating diving bird, will teach you another. See, the bird, the swan, the fire and the bull. So all these things depict that the whole nature is animated with spirit. And if you keep your mind open, you can learn from the nature anywhere. Not necessarily that you have to go to any human being. It can be revealed. We read the Hanumana episode, that the monkey, we asked that question, how come the monkey, that he will have the knowledge? Swami Vivekananda said that Hanumana means forest dweller. The knowledge of Atman, the knowledge of God, is not the exclusive possession of any one of us. It is present everywhere. Anywhere it reveals, that person becomes blessed. In any place also, any subject and any object. So there we find that gradually he got the knowledge of Brahman. Then he came back and his face was shining. His teacher asked that, did you get the knowledge of Brahman? Yes. From where? He says, by beings other than men, from the nature. So the nature, whole of nature revealed to him, the student Satyakama, who was eager to know the truth, as you call the Brahman. But then again he said, but I desire that you too should teach me, for I have heard from the wise that the knowledge that the Guru imparts will alone lead to the supreme good. Throughout all our scriptures we find that great scholars always bow down to their teacher. The whole idea is that I am nothing, like Paul, not I, but Jesus liveth in me. So humility is the test of religion. The more one is egotistic, the light of religion will not come there, you see, the humility, humble. Now that was the first episode or story or dialogue, whatever. Then second one was, now Satyakama became the teacher. Now his student was called Upakosala, the second story. Now Upakosala lived there for 12 years to get the education. After that, usually they used to go home. That was the ancient tradition, that first station of life was student life. Concentrate on your study, scriptural study, and maintain your self-sacrificing spirit and service. All those things were necessary for student life. After that, they were allowed to go. They can marry, they can lead the life of the householder, or they can renounce, whatever. Now, after their, as you call, graduation, all were allowed to go, but not he, Upakosala. So Satyakama did not allow him to go. That means his teacher understood that he needed more education. Ego was not, the empirical ego was not elevated to a great extent. Then he wanted to go, but Satyakama said no. Not only that, he went out. So then how could he go without the permission of the teacher? Then after a long time, he came back, and before that already he got knowledge from mostly fire. The fire, gradually, the voice came from fire. You will find an Indian mythological lore that there are many, as you call, like unnatural, like births. Births from fire, births from air, say births from water, the voice from the air. So that shows that whole nature is animated by the spirit of the Absolute. The fire, the voice from the fire came and gave him the knowledge that life is Brahman, and then sky is Brahman. The heart within you is full of that knowledge, Brahman. That concept we come, that Hriddese Arjuna Tishtati in the Bhagavad Gita, that the Supreme Being, the Brahman, is within us in the cave. That concept we find in the cave image of Plato, the great philosopher Plato. I like his the image of a cave. As you know, that in a cave there are some prisoners. So they were always in the cave, no light, nothing. There was a little bit of light. Then one of the prisoners somehow escaped, went outside. There he was amazed to see such a blazing fire like the sun rays. He was so amazed, so fine, so delighted that he could not maintain his own content. So he wanted to share with others, like Bodhisattva idea. Then not only yourself, but share with others. Like Sri Ramakrishna says, Vigyani, that concept. So he went back and narrated to them, what a great light I saw outside the cave. And the light here is nothing compared to that. They didn't believe him. They thought he was like crazy. The light of the sun could not penetrate their hearts. They could not believe because they are confined in their own world. So here we find that concept is given, that in the heart, in the cave. Now why it is cave? Let me give you one example. Suppose there are there is one picture that is there written there, Ekam Sat Vipra Bhuta Vadanti. Now, unless and until I have the knowledge of Sanskrit, I cannot read those words, Ekam Sat Vipra Bhuta Vadanti. Those words are there, revealed to me through the light, but still those are non-existent to me. Why? Because I have not acquired that knowledge. And where is that knowledge? I cannot point out, here is my knowledge, because it is in my mind. And where is the mind? It is behind. I cannot point out where is my mind, but you know where it is. It is inside. That's why it is called cave, the inside. So that is actually coming. Let me give you one genesis of perception. Suppose you are meditating here. Suddenly you find a mosquito bite. Now this sensation from the skin is carried over from here to your nervous system, the cerebral system, the brain. And from there what happens? It takes off. Like yesterday I took off in a plane. It takes off. Where does it go? It goes to the mind. From mind it goes to the intellect called buddhi. From there it goes to the soul, as you call jivatma. Then again it comes back from in the same route, but with an order. What is that order? Blow it off. Then gradually I blow it off. This is the whole cycle, as you call the genesis of perception. So our controlling power is inside, within. That's why it is called the cave. Because many times that question may come, why? What is this? That inside me? No, yes, everything is inside. That was told actually by a great philosopher Berkeley, when he said that esse est percipi, Latin words, means existence is being perceived. That object exists to me as it is depends on my perception, on my knowledge. So that is the concept. That is the second one. Then we find the third. The third story comes. There we find that another great, charming student named Swetaketu. Swetaketu was 12 years old. Then his father said, well, now you must go to a teacher to get the knowledge of the absolute Brahman. That is the highest knowledge. So he was sent to a teacher. Then after he came back, the father could figure out that, well, he didn't get that knowledge because the face did not show. Face is the indicator actually of what is within. Of course, many times some may pretend what is not inside, but how long? It will come anyway. So he said, no, you could not attain. Then he knew that, Swetaketu knew that his father was in war of Brahman. Then he asked his father, who became actually the teacher, will you please impart me the knowledge of the Absolute? I want to learn from you. So then his father, whose name was Uddalaka, gave him gradually, step after step, like 8 steps, through which we find that all this abstruse philosophy, what we find throughout all the pages of all the Upanishads, is given to the student, his own son, Swetaketu, one after another step. The first step he was telling, in the beginning there was existence, Sat. That reminds me of one, the Latin dictum, which is called ex nihilo nihil fit, F-I-T. That means out of zero, zero comes. Many times we say, well, in the beginning there was nothing. In the beginning, if there was nothing, how can you say you are something? When I was in I think I was in Toronto. I was walking with one university professor. Of course, naturally he was proud of his scholarship. So he was talking to me. He was telling, well, nothing is real. Nothing is absolutely real. Everything is void. Then I asked him, is that statement that everything is unreal is also unreal? Then he kept quiet. Swami, yeah, you are right. If that is also unreal, then keep quiet. You see, many times you do not apply our own common sense. I say common sense is uncommon. You see, so here, here that his teacher Uddalaka says, in the beginning that was that existence, Sat, the positivistic idea, the positive. From there everything emerged. The whole of cosmology, everything emerged. Then gradually he said, then in the second step he says, he gave the example of the bee. The bees collect the honey from different flowers. Though we read, of course, clover honey, but we don't know. We cannot control the bee, they don't go there, only take honey from here. Of course, we can make control in some areas, of course. But they can go anywhere they want to. So they collect the honey from different flowers. And then when honey comes, there is no distinction. All the differentiation melts away there in the honey. Similarly, he says that in that absolute existence, all the differentiation melts. Then he imparts the teaching. This is one of the greatest dictum we ever hear, called "You are that Tattvam Osi." Throughout all these examples, his teacher and father gave this concept that you are that, though you are finite, though you are limited, but essentially you are infinite. Tattvam Osi. Then he gave another example, third, that rivers, all different rivers have got different courses and sources. But when they mingle in the ocean, the differentiation melts away. So similarly in Brahman, so all the differentiation, you see how we find the two concepts, unity and diversity, that they do not reject our existence. We are all different, in approach, in dress, in food, in eating, in religion, in mannerism. We are all different. That should be. But there is some generic unifying factor that is in Brahman. So he says, but like that, you are nothing but that Tattvamasi. That teaching is giving again. Then number fourth, he gives the example of a tree. Suppose if I strike once the root of the large tree, it will bleed, but still it will live. One branch, still it will live. But if the soul departs from here, it will die. So similarly, it says there are so many bodies, subjects and objects. If you cut one after another, nothing will happen. But if the soul departs, then it will cease to exist. So you are that, Tattvamasi. Then number fifth, he gives the example of the tree, the fruit of a tree. He asked his son to bring the fruit. Then you break it. He broke it. Then he said, what do you see? Some seeds. Break it. Then what do you see? Then gradually he was breaking. Then at the end he asked, what do you see? He said, nothing. Now I don't see anything. Then he gave the example. The subtle essence you do not see, and in that is the whole of the tree. You see? So gradually reduced to nothing. So it was a tree. Then he asked his son to bring some fruit, then cut and seed, then went to nothing. That gives the concept of two ideas called involution and evolution. The tree is nothing but the evolved stage of that seed. And seed is nothing but the involved stage of the tree. So we are coming out of what? The same source, the evolution and involution. So how great concepts are conveyed to us through just example. Then he gives the number 6 example. He asked his son to bring some salt and put in the water. The next day he said, go and bring that pot. Then he said, now tell me, give me the salt. He said, how can I give the salt? Say, you can't find the salt? No. Why? Because it melted. Then he said, you sip the water. Tell me how it tastes. Say, it is salty. So then you know there is salt. Yes. That gives insight that ultimate test of truth is your anubhuti experience. That is the basic teaching of Vedanta. That you need not believe in any kind of scripture. Believing any kind of scripture means believing in the beliefs of somebody else. So if it does not stand to reason, reject it. But go for meditation, lead the moral life, ethical life. And when you experience that anubhuti, that is the greatest test. So Vedanta always exhorts you to have your own experience. If not, reject it. So here, that his father, his teacher, gave that experience. That you see, though you do not see it, but you experience it. You do not see God, you do not see Brahman, but when you experience it, that is the greatest proof that there it is. Then again he said, so tattvamasi. Then number 7, he said that if a man is blindfolded, he can't find the way out. So he needs someone to show him the way out. So you need to go to a teacher, illumined soul. That concept is again given, that you need to approach an illumined soul guru who will help you to get the knowledge of the Absolute. Again he says, tattvamasi. Then lastly, he says, number 8, that there are 2 kinds of people. When they die, the death is same to them. One is a Nwara Brahman, another is not a Nwara Brahman. A Nwara Brahman, when he gives us his body, he is totally off, he is not born again. And those who give up their bodies without knowing the Absolute, they have to be born over and over again. I don't know whether I used that before, these 3 words which designate our life on earth. These are that hatched, matched and dispatched. Once you are hatched, then in between matched, rematched and non-matched, you know the second stage better than what I do. Then third stage is called dispatched. One day all will be dispatched. Now the differentiation between those who are Nwara Brahman and those who are not, that those who are not the Nwara Brahman will be dispatched over and again. So that concept he gives. Then he at the end said, again same teaching, that you are that. The number 4 episode we find is between Narada and Sanat Kumar. Narada is a great student, and he came to Sanat Kumar, and Sanat Kumar, the great teacher, gave through his illuminating actually the dialogues that 2 kinds of knowledge. One is called Paravidya, another is called Aparavidya. And gradually he said what is higher than higher, that subtle than subtler, subtle than subtler. First he asked Narada, what do you know about God? Well, Narada was bragging, well, I read this, I read that. So many things already he read. Then Sanat Kumar told, these are nothing but names. You told me what are these names? There is something more higher than name. Really? So what is that? And gradually the student was taken from gross to the subtle, subtle to the subtle, subtler to the subtlest, and which is the ground of all our existences. Then he gave through different charming the speeches that what is higher than name? Speech is the higher than name. And what is higher than speech? The mind is higher than speech, called Mano Brahma. Then what is higher than mind? The will, called Sankalpa. Then what is higher than that? The discriminating will, called Chitta Brahma. And then again, what is higher? The student is asking question over and over again. It is good that students should ask questions. Then the teacher will be happy to answer those questions. Then what is still higher than that? Then he says concentration. That is meditation. Dhyana is higher than the discriminating will. And is there any higher than that? Yes, the insight. The insight is called Vijnanam, the knowledge, insight. Then he says, then all these, what you say, the power, the food, the water, the fire, ether, all these things are animated by that same which is called Brahman. So through these, the stories, that he gave that knowledge. And the last story what I was going to tell, these are the 5 great stories which really attracted me very much. The last one is called, very nice episode, called Indra and Virochana. Indra and Virochana, these two actually figures represent two different aspects of life. Indra represents the spiritual aspect of our life, and then Virochana is the materialistic. So through this conversation of Indra and then Virochana and the teacher Prajapati, we find that how materialism, sheer materialism, has its own drawbacks. It gives out more of evils. That must be elevated to spirituality, from where that good things come. Of course, real spirituality, not in the name of any religion. So we have observed, still we are observing, particularly the sad thing was on 11th September, in New York, that in the name of religion, people come forward to destroy others. So there our religion comes, which says, never give up your own monona reasoning. I always say that which does not stand to your reason, always reject it. If somebody comes and tells you, well, if you kill that guy, you'll go to heaven. Wait. You ask me that to kill that guy, then I will go to heaven? Now, if that guy says, his religion also says that if he kills me, he'll go to heaven, do you mean to say that this earth will be a playground of killings only? Then he'll say, oh, this is not the guy I asked one for. So he'll go to another person. You see, always you have to apply that reasoning faculty. Now here we find that how sheer materialism will draw more evils. It must be coupled with spirituality. What happened? Both of them, you see, that concept comes to us that good and bad are nothing but that two sides of the same coin. These are, of course, the phenomenal good and phenomenal bad. See, Indra represents like phenomenal good, and Virochana, the phenomenal bad, or whatever we will call materialism. Now somebody asked me that, well, on 11th September in New York, it was so bad. I heard that bad is always mixed with good. I said, yeah, how do you explain that incident? I said, well, I gave a concrete example. Do you know the name of New York mayor? He said, yeah, Giuliani. Now, do you know before that incident he was going to sink? Then everybody was going to forget him. And that incident brought him like a lion. He came to the office like a lamb. And after that incident, he came out of the office like a lion. You see, now he has become very famous. You see, at least that incident did some good to him. Yeah, you are right. You see, these good and bad always go together. We cannot take only that good of it and the bad of it. No, these are two sides of the same coin. Now here you will find both of them went to the same teacher to know about Brahman. And the teacher Prajapati told, you are that. And Virochana means, as you call, materialistic, only body oriented. I am that. Oh, then I have learned the knowledge of the Absolute. What? I am that. So he came back and he told all people that, well, we have to all go to a gym, this, that, eat good food. And because why? Because this is all. I have learned that my teacher told me that this is that, you are that. So we have to make our body very strong. They all purely the materialistic. Indra, on the other hand, he had some spiritual bent of mind. So he kept discriminating, well, I heard from the teacher this is all. Is this really all? One day I will be dispatched. Does that mean reality also is dispatched? Is it also temporary? So he went back. And the teacher asked him to be there another 12 years. Then he learned something higher than the body, the mind, higher than the mind, then the buddhi. Then gradually he was going from gross, materialistic to the subtler. Then ultimately he finished 101 years of austerity or spiritual practice. That's why I say, you see, 101 years are very auspicious. Many times, many Americans ask me the question, Swami, I don't understand that why those Indians give offering 101 rupees. It is hard to explain why they give 101. So I say, see here in the Upanishad that Indra practiced spiritual austerities for 101 years. So after that he added the knowledge of Brahman. So it must be very auspicious. Maybe they derived from there. You see, 101 is very auspicious. So after that, he attained that knowledge, the knowledge of the Absolute. And we need that for the higher and higher. And now In modern time, we need more of that. That though we are all diverse, we are all different, and we need to go to that unity. That will bring forth to us peace. So let me conclude with this prayer. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Peace be unto us, peace be unto all mankind.